Good morning. I always wanted to do that. I was afraid the glass might break, but was able to get that off my list of things to do. Can everybody hear me okay? No? I heard a couple of no's. Talk louder. Okay. Okay. I'll try to get close to the microphone here. Thanks, everybody, and welcome to KANA's 59th annual meeting. I appreciate everybody being here. We'll go ahead and get the meeting started here meeting started, but I wanted to start with a couple of things. First, I wanted to acknowledge all of our elders that are here or aren't able to be here today. Thank you for their guidance and wisdom, and thank you to one of our esteemed guests here who reminded me to take the time to recognize all of the elders and the wisdom that they bring. So if we could take a moment for that. And then I'd also like to share that I was passed a note yesterday that we received a phone call from Patricia. Thanks, Patricia, who said the message that I got, I don't think is exactly what Patricia had relayed, but the message I received was, don't be so stiff. Come up with an icebreaker. And so I took that to mean that she wanted us to have a fun meeting. And thanks for the suggestions that she sent. We will try to incorporate some of those next year. I'm not quite flexible enough to have made those changes in time. But as I was thinking about an icebreaker to start the meeting with, I thought, well, gosh, I'm not very funny and I don't know any jokes. So what am I going to do? But what I did think of as I was leaving the house this morning is if we could all take a moment to think of something that you're thankful for and you share it with your table mate or not, just keep it to yourself. But we'll start the meeting off in a good way as we recognize KANA and its mission to elevate the quality of life of the people we serve and the core values of KANA of courtesy, caring, respect, sharing, and pride, and the joint responsibility that we all have to work together to improve and elevate the community in the region. So me, as I was trying to think of what I'm thankful for, I'm a pretty simple guy. And so when I got home last night, my dog appeared genuinely happy to see me. And I came in this morning as I was walking up the steps, and one of our staff members said, hey, you've got some coffee on your desk. And so just being able to work with a great group of people in support of a great group of people, that's what I'm thankful for. So if you want to take a second and, to yourself or share with your neighbors something that you're thankful for. And I'll stand here awkwardly and listen. Thanks. Well, I think that's enough. Thanks. So again, I appreciate everybody for being here. And I'd like to start the meeting off with our lamp lighting and invocation. For the lamp lighting, I'd like to introduce Miss Carolyn Knowles, son Corey Knowles, and grandson Wade Knowles. If I could ask you to come to the front. Do the invocation at the same time, or do the invocation last? I think she was going to do it after. We have another lighter. Please. So that's quite a flame. It took a bit of time because of the breeze from the heating and ventilating system in here. Just trying to keep it cool. But thank you very much. We appreciate it. And if I could, I'd like to invite Carrie Sherrod to the front for an invocation.
Good morning, Chmai. I see a lot of familiar faces here, but for those of you who might not know me, my name is Carrie Sherrod. My Alutiiq name is Kokoriko Njuk, given to me by the late Dennis Kanagan and Susie Malutin. My parents are Abner and Marilyn Nelson, and my grandparents are the late Abner and Betty Nelson, Sr. from Afognak, and the late Norman and Donna Urson from Seldovia. I grew up in the village of Port Lions. Please stand with me for the Lord's Prayer in Alutiiq, and as we ask for his wisdom, guidance, and blessings over our meeting, our leaders, our friends, our coworkers, our neighbors, our families, and our community. Let's pray. Wangura adach pep hamani echkak, tongich dukathan, agayawin teskew pukjijin pukjiguk, nunami chestun pamani. Menachgud wangura akanakpak shlebamak chari prastiki krihabit. Chestun wangura prastiabit tomata suhet, chali ahot nilskut asil nukmin, anik jugut asil numak. Chiget tomato begotten, chili tuknik duten, chili tungik duten. Adha adam chili awaguda, chili tungishkak anak naha. Emout to mount equinani. Amen.
Thank you, Carrie. I'd like to go to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda and minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda of the 2025 annual membership meeting. There's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the 2024 annual membership meeting. Do I hear a motion? And a second? Sorry, I was talking. Was there a second? Oh, God, thank you. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I'd like to take a moment to introduce KANA's Board of Directors. Ms. Loretta Nelson from the native village of Afognak, Chair. Loretta sends her regards. She was not able to be here, but she is here in spirit. Our Vice Chair, Phyllis Emoto from Kodiak Village. Is Phyllis right there? Thanks, Phyllis. Our Secretary from the at-large chapter, Cheryl Christofferson. Our Treasurer from Shunak Tribe of Kodiak, Janine Marsh. From the native village of Yuzinki, Larry Chichna. Chrislyn, I'm going to try. Tniknak Native Village. Chrislyn Hohen. Alutiiq Tribe of Old Harbor, Stella Crumry. Native Village of Port Lions, Nancy Nelson. Native Village of Larson Bay, Alexander Panamareff Jr. Native Village of Akiak, Tikhon Semyonov. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I'd also like to announce the 2025 KANA Election Committee, comprised of Margie Nelson and Desiree Aluska, who are KANA staff. They're working the front desk right now. And then we also have Miss Patricia Kozak, seated over there. Pat Kozak and I have been part of probably more elections than we care to remember. But thanks for your continued service. And also Miss Valerie Urson. Is Valerie in the room? Oh, there's Valerie. Thank you. Thanks, Valerie, for being part of our election committee this year. I'd also like to recognize some special guests today. Mr. Tom Panamera from Kodiak. This is Tom's, third annual meeting, you said, in how many weeks? 5 weeks. So he's looking forward to some rest next weekend. But thanks for being here, Tom. We appreciate it. We also have Miss Natasha Singh and Natasha's son, Isaac. Natasha is the president and CEO of the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. Thanks for taking time to come on down and bringing Isaac with you. It's good to see him. Also, we have Miss Joy Mariner from BDO, who is KANA's auditor. She is the assurance practice leader. Thanks, Joy. So our annual meeting is convened for the purpose of election of officers, any other business that may be properly brought before the membership, and also to share some updates. And so the next item on the agenda is to give the candidates for the chapters up for election this year a moment if they would like to make a statement. For the at-large chapter, Ms. Cheryl Christofferson, would you like to make a statement? No?
And I think they made sure the microphone was at my height and not Mike's. That he has to bend over so that the microphone works. Anyway, I'm Cheryl Christofferson. I've been a board member. I think I was first elected in 2007. And I am so honored and just to have been elected, to have had your trust, the people who voted for me, to vote me in. And that was 6 terms that I've served so far. And so if I am reelected, I will serve with honesty and integrity and to the best of my ability. I want to thank Mike and all his staff. They have, I mean, I think I am amazed every year. I always can't believe how so many of the staff that I see that report to us as a board, they truly are passionate about what they do, and that is just so exciting and inspiring, and I love it. And I think the probably the sprinklers are going to go off here. Being smoked out. Anyway, I tried to prepare remarks, but I just couldn't get them right. So I thought I'd just wing it. And so I know that, you know, KANA has seen a lot of change since I was first elected. I think mostly positive. We've grown a lot, and I think we've done a pretty good job of, you know, rising to the occasion with the growth of the company, and always keeping in mind our mission, as Mike said. So, what else was I going to say? That's the trouble when you get older, the words just don't come. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope everyone has a nice meeting, a nice time at today at the meeting and lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Mr. James Alpayak, if you'd like to make a statement. James is also a candidate for the at-large chapter. Had the chance to speak with Mr. Alpayak yesterday. It was really a great opportunity to hear about his thoughts and vision for the Kodiak Area Native Association and what we can do as an organization to keep up the good work and also to do better. So thank you, James. I'd like to ask Mr. Larry Chichinoff from the native village of Yuzinki if you'd like to make a few statements.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. It's been I've been on the KANA board for a couple terms now, and it's such it's amazing what they do for the people around the island and the people of Yuzinki, Mike and his staff. And it's been a learning experience for me to realize how much they do for the people of Kodiak Island. And it's just so rewarding knowing that being a part of that. It makes me feel really good. I could go home after meetings and feel good about what we accomplished during our meetings. And Mike and his staff, they're amazing. I mean, it's amazing how much they do and how organized. You know, we're not perfect yet. I mean, no health organization is perfect. But we're trying our best, and we try to fix what people don't like. We try to do our best to, you know, make everybody happy, but we can't make everybody happy. There's always be that few that aren't happy. But it's like I say, Dee Dee said, it's a privilege and an honor to serve on this board. It's really makes me feel good to do it. And if I get on again, I'll do my best to elevate the quality of life of the people we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. And Ms. Chrislyn Hohen?
Good morning. Thank you all for coming out. I'm going to kind of echo the same things. It is an honor and a privilege to serve on the board with such a great group of people. And my thanks to our board, Mike, his staff is just incredible what they do to make sure that things run smoothly and take care of our tribal citizens and beneficiaries that come in. And yeah, we work hard to remedy areas where we lack. And, you know, we heard some yesterday where just, you know, things fall through the cracks, but we work hard to get that done. And thanks to all the people that support myself from my tribe. And great to see everybody out. A little bit of rain after such a nice summer's kind of welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Chrislyn. I'd like to speak to a proposed amendment and restatement of KANA's Articles of Incorporation. There's a change that's made to our articles. If there is a proposed change, it goes to our membership. And the proposed change relates to blood quantum and to tribal enrollment. So what I'd also want to clarify, so a KANA member identifies who can vote for KANA matters. It doesn't impact services eligible to IHS beneficiaries or BIA beneficiaries. This membership relates to voting in KANA elections. And so what I'd like to do is first hand over the screen to Mr. Richard Monkman, who is KANA's corporate counsel, and he's going to speak to the proposed changes. I believe that you all have on the table in front of you. We are having a hard time with Zoom. So while we work on our Zoom issues, I'm going to put Mr. Tom Panamaroff on the spot because he's next on the agenda. We're going to have Mr. Monkman speak to the proposed articles update, and then Mr. Tom Panamaroff is going to speak to blood quantum. Tom, thank you.
Well, good thing your microphone's sensitive, so I don't have to adjust it from Dee Dee's height. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. My name's Tom Panamaroff. I'm Regional Legislative Affairs Executive for Kodiak. I was born and raised right here in Kodiak. Grew up in a house right up the hill here on Old Upper Mill Bay Road, right across from the Old American Cemetery. Proud graduate of Kodiak High School class of '79. Also with Dee Dee, quick story about that. We got our senior year yearbook, and I flipped through it real quick, found my picture with the senior class, and there was a picture right next to it, Cheryl Panamarioff, and I was like, who is that? I never seen that person. And she hid out in the old CE2 area, the career development area, so didn't really too shy to come out. So anyway, that's when I first encountered Dee Dee, and we've been friends ever since. I've been asked to give a little bit of history on blood quantum, and I have to tell you that the slide says myself and Maria Halverson. Maria, who works with me, was going to be leading the presentation. I was going to give her support on it, so I'm basically doing her presentation, do the best I can with it. But I had to do some quick research on this and found out a lot about it that I had never even thought about. I'd never really put a lot of thought into where this blood quantum thing came from and why we have it and have to deal with it. And I lost the clicker.
Clicker?
Yeah.
Do we have a?
Oh, I'll just ask Sam to advance a slide. Go ahead, Sam. So where this concept of blood quantum come from? This is not an indigenous or a native concept. We didn't come up with this. This is a concept that comes from the colonial days in America. It was emerged as a way to measure a person's quote unquote Indianness. There's no other racial group in our country that is subject to blood quantum. Black people aren't subject to blood quantum. Hispanic people aren't subject to quantum. It only applies in our country to Native Americans. Next slide, please. I think we're all familiar with this. We all have our certificates of Indian blood. Talks about our how much Native American blood we are, and that's a flawed concept because when this first started hundreds of years ago, the government basically picked what your quantum was. They tried to use census data in the late 1800s, but still that was a very flawed way to do it. And once a person was deemed to be a certain blood quantum back in the 1800s or so, that translated on to their subsequent generations. And many times that original person that had assigned a blood quantum was incorrect. So even though we see things like 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, it goes even further than that. Myself, is my CDIB. It says that I'm 5/16. But here's where the incorrect part comes in. It says I'm Eskimo. Now I'm married to an Eskimo. She's from Nome, and she said that she had to go all the way to Kodiak to find somebody she wasn't related to. I let her believe that until I pulled out my CIB and said, "Hi, cousin." Next slide, please. So this blood quantum thing started back in the early 1700s, before we even had the United States, in the colony of Virginia. And they had what they called the Indian Blood Law. And what they had it for was to limit the rights of Native Americans who were more than 1/2 Native. So if you're more than half Native, you couldn't be a citizen, you couldn't vote, you couldn't attend public schools. Your rights as a human being were inhibited. Another interesting thing about Virginia, later, they had what they called the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. And in it, it had what was called the Pocahontas Clause, which to me just jumps out as offensive. But that Pocahontas clause said that a white person in Virginia could have as much as 1/16 native blood and still be considered white for purpose of benefits. If they're more than 1/16, that some of their rights were inhibited. I read that and I just said, wow, that's wild. Again, one of those things that I found out as I researched, it just kind of blew me away. Next slide, please. So then we get into the 1800s and the 1900s, and a lot of treaty activity was taking place in this time. And as those treaties were developed, the federal government felt that tribal members had to be defined so they would know who qualified for payments and benefits coming from those various treaties that were put into place. But as they did that, they did it intentionally. They set this blood quantum up with the intentional purpose to limit who could qualify for the benefits and payments that came from the treaties. Some have called the blood quantum requirement as a stand-in device for lineage imposed by the U.S. government to disempower Indigenous people from their lands, resources, culture, identities, languages, and futures. So again, this was not something that our Native people came up with. It was something that was come up by the federal government to limit opportunities and benefits to Native Americans. Next slide, please. So today, some of the things that we're dealing with in terms of blood quantum is some tribes use blood quantum to determine tribal membership. We at Kodiak and the Kodiak Island Tribal Coalition and others are working on the blood quantum issue with the Marine Mammal Protection Act that the two agencies that oversee marine mammal harvest and activities are utilizing 1/4 blood quantum as a qualification to harvest and utilize marine mammals. And even ANCSA utilized the 1/4 blood quantum when that was passed in 1971. Next slide. So why is using 1/4 blood quantum an issue and a problem? And in this slide, we've talked about this in terms of the Marine Mammal Protection Act, but Dr. Steve Langdon of UAA worked on a research paper that he published in 2016, and he looked at various regions of Alaska and the applications for certificates of Indian blood and what percentage of those were qualified to harvest marine mammals by having a 1/4 blood quantum. And you can see in the 5-year period from 2006 to 2011, there were 55% of new certificates of Indian blood issued by the BIA in our region that were less than 1/4 blood quantum. And 5 years later, that 55% jumped up to 69%. So what this data shows is that the goal of the government, the federal government, when it implemented blood quantum policy, and that policy at the time was that over time, blood quantum would continue to be diluted with each subsequent generation to the point that eventually there would no longer be any Indians or Native Americans because they didn't meet that 1/4 blood quantum. So therefore, there not being any Native Americans or Indians that met the blood quantum requirement, then the federal government wouldn't be obligated for the benefits and payments under the treaties and not have to pay that and live up to those obligations. So it really was a policy of extinction of Indians by definition, or genocide of Indians by definition. And that just kind of flabbergasted me when I read about that. And I read about that in multiple places. And I'd never thought about that. The other thing about this slide and this increase in percentage of certificates of Indian blood that don't meet the 1/4 blood quantum is I've found another statistic that said that roughly 54 to 61% of all Native Americans marry non-natives. And that is a much higher percentage of marriage to non-natives than any other racial groups, Blacks, Hispanics, whatever. Native Americans marry non-natives at a much higher rate than other racial groups, which is only going to lead to this percentage of those not meeting the blood quantum requirement increasing. Next slide, please. So what are the consequences of utilizing blood quantum? One is exclusion. You can use it to exclude individuals from tribal membership, even if that person has a deep cultural and connection to that tribe. and it can exclude a Native person from participating in programs and benefits in certain cases. It also can intrinsically harm a person in terms of their self-identity and their sense of belonging to their community if they're excluded based on blood quantum. And then in some cases, it could affect someone's family planning. What if you have a Native person and a non-Native person looking at getting married, and one of them, maybe it's one of them that is has a tradition of harvesting sea otters, doing things with the pellets, etc. And if they marry a non-Native person, their kids are going to be less than a quarter. And then those kids would not be able to participate in that harvest. Wouldn't they be thinking about, wow, I'm not sure if maybe we want to do this, right? So this whole concept of blood quantum could affect family planning and preclude people from marrying and having families with who they want, regardless of whether they're Native or not. Next slide, please. So what can we do? Some of the things we're doing now, under the first bullet, we're working on the MMPA to have that definition of who can harvest marine mammals be determined by tribes rather than by this arbitrary blood quantum requirement. We can look for places where this blood quantum requirement is there and develop strategies to get rid of it, to move it on. And then we can also do what I think is the best thing, is exercise each tribe's sovereign right to ensure that each of our people can fully exercise their all rights and benefits they can as a Native person. And I want to close by reading a quote from an Indigenous rights attorney in Seattle area. His name is Gabe Galanda. And Mr. Galanda says, anyone who cares about this country, loves this country, and respects and honors the history of this country, whether that's an ugly history, a beautiful history, or a combination of both, should want the Indigenous peoples of these lands to exist in perpetuity. To eradicate American Indigenous peoples would be to really erase America's history. And one of the ways that history could be eradicated, sadly, by design, is through blood quantum. And with that, I'll close, and thank you for your attention. Appreciate it. Oyera.
Is our Zoom working? No, okay. Well, if we are able to get Mr. Monkman on the line, we'll have him speak, but I'll share background on how the proposed articles change came about. I've heard, Tom and many others speak passionately about why there should not be a blood quantum requirement. And as I was looking through KANA's articles of incorporation last year, I believe it was in December, I noticed that we had a blood quantum requirement in our articles. And so at your table, there should be several copies of the proposed change. And for you members, I hope that you received a ballot in the mail to vote on this. So what we proposed, what the KANA board proposed, is removing the BIA blood quantum reference so that the previous language, that the membership of the corporation shall be composed of all citizens of the United States who are residents of the Kodiak Island area and who are of 1/4 degree or more Alaskan Indian, Eskimo, or Aleut blood or combination thereof, shall now read are of Shupiak, Alutiiq, or other Alaskan Native or American Indian ancestry. And then there's an additional proposed change that the board wanted to present to you, and that is to clarify the importance of tribal enrollment when you're voting on members that come. Oh, we do have Mr. Monkman on the line? Okay, so Mr. Monkman will provide a little more detail on this, but the proposed changes are then to remove blood quantum reference and to demonstrate the importance and intent of tribal enrollment. With that, I'll step from the microphone and hope Mr. Monkman can join us.
Good morning. I think I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. Okay, well, thank you, and good morning to all the participants at the meeting. I've been asked to speak a little bit about the blood quantum requirement and the article amendment. As I think you've heard or saw the presentation, the blood quantum requirement is an archaic legal requirement that was imposed by the United States Congress over the end of the 19th century into the early 20th century. It has been widely criticized because it's been arbitrarily employed and also would have the effect over time of lowering the number of people who qualify under the law as Indians or Alaska Natives. It has been removed by many tribes, by many tribal organizations, and the proposal here today is to delete the reference from KANA's membership requirements. So I went back this morning and looked at the history of KANA's articles, which are before you to be amended. KANA was formed in 1966, and at that point, there was no blood quantum requirement for membership in the articles. KANA was open to the descendants of any descendants of Indian, Aleut, or Eskimo blood who were legal residents of the territory before 1935 and their descendants. In 1977, about the time when the Alaska Native land claims were being settled, the bylaws were amended to include a blood quantum, which is, as I think Mike showed you on his screen, is currently in the articles of requiring a 1/4 blood quantum for membership. It's been amended several times since to the current language, which is a sort of an optional. You can qualify as a member by having the blood quantum or being an enrolled member of the tribe or a descendant of one or the other. But I think the board discussed this quite a bit over the course of last winter and decided that it was time to remove the blood quantum requirement entirely from the bylaws. And I think the language which is before you today has two actually important aspects which are very helpful to KANA. Well, the first, of course, is to get rid of the blood quantum requirement, which, as I said, is archaic, outmoded, and has very negative effects on Alaska Natives and Alaska Indians who want to participate in tribal matters. The second aspect of the amendment is that it emphasizes the tribal nature of KANA. KANA is a tribal organization composed of the chapters, which are essentially all the tribes, most of the tribes in the Kodiak area. Legally, by being a tribal organization, KANA qualifies for the Indian Self-Determination Act programs of the United States. It qualifies for sovereign immunity from suit and achieves quite a few benefits. The new language emphasizes the tribal nature of KANA, that people who can become members and vote have to have Alaska Native, American Indian ancestry, be resident in Kodiak, and be enrolled members of an Alaska Native village or tribe, or be the descendants of individuals who are Alaska Native or tribal, Alaska Native village or tribal members. So it's a housekeeping sort of amendment here, but one which I think brings the KANA bylaws back to the sort of the original intent of the founders of KANA in 1966, and emphasizes the tribal nature of the organization, which has legal benefits that are quite significant today for all of you. So with that, Mike, I don't know if there are some specific questions or any other points you'd like me to address.
Are there any questions related to the proposed change?
So realize that they are a tribe. I know an individual who was adopted out and he's tried to enroll in a couple tribes, but they weren't sure of his lineage, so he is still tribeless. And how will that affect them by having him having to enroll in a tribe when the tribes won't accept him?
Did you hear that question, Mr. Monkman?
I think so. I think I got it. Enrollment in a tribe isn't required by the amendment. You do have to show that you are descended from a tribal member, a member of an Alaska Native village or an Alaska Indian tribe. So I don't know if the person can show that, but to KANA satisfaction, but if so, then the person could be a member and vote. And one thing I want to emphasize, I don't know if it's been pointed out before, this amendment has no effect on Indian Health Service benefits. Any person who is Alaska Native or American Indian can receive services at KANA, regardless of whether they qualify to vote at this annual meeting.
Thank you. Are there other questions? I see one, yes.
Hi, thank you. Will this membership also change like what services are available to, let me see if I could rephrase that. The services that we receive as beneficiaries in this membership change, will the services still be open to the public?
This proposed amendment will not affect any services that are currently available through KANA
Correct.
or who is eligible to receive those services. This is solely for voting for tribal chapter election or other matters that may be brought before the membership to vote upon, such as this proposed articles change. I see another question.
I have a question. For private reasons, my family has moved out of Alaska, but they come to visit occasionally, and they're more than 1/4 Native. They're more than 1/4 Native. But in the past, it seems like they couldn't use the services at KANA if they came from out of town. So my daughter is very injured and hasn't been back since 2009. But I was wondering if you would serve people that come in from other states that are Native.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, services are available to beneficiaries who present from out of state or out of Kodiak. Any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, I'd like to thank Mr. Monkman for being available.
Certainly.
And thank Tom again also for your presentation. It is 10:45 and at 10:45, I told whoever was speaking that I was going to interrupt them to let them know that the polls will be closing at 11. So I fortuitously, I suppose, have happened to be speaking. So I just want to let everybody know that the polls will be closing in 15 minutes. The polls are located behind the reception desk on the second floor. So if you would like to vote or change your vote, please do so. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a report from the Kodiak Area Native Association. So I'd like to spend a few minutes giving some updates on what KANA has been up to over the last year and some things that we have planned for the future. And so to start, I would like to invite Ms. Carissa Stoker, our Vice President of Health Services, to the front of the room to provide a few updates about our health department. Carissa?
Good morning, everyone. As Mike said, my name is Carissa Stoker, and I serve as the Vice President of Health for KANA. I'm just going to give a real brief update on kind of the past year and let you know of some things we're working on. So one of our biggest priorities this past year has been improving access to care. So changes at Providence have helped us make that possible. With hospital-based care now being managed by Providence's hospitalist staff, our physicians are spending less time at the hospital and more time in KANA clinics caring for our patients. KANA's providers have all retained what we call courtesy privileging at the hospital. And this allows providers to round on patients in the hospital to help support care coordination. So if our patients are admitted to the hospital, our providers can still go to the hospital in their capacity as a physician and provide wraparound services, care support, referral connections, but they are not on call 24/7 anymore. We have a strong working relationship with Providence, and we really appreciate their partnership in providing care to our patients and community. Since implementing this shift in how we partner with Providence, the ability of our doctors to see patients in clinic has actually increased by 30%. So the average wait time for an appointment dropped from more than 10 days to just over 1 day, and that's an 89% improvement. And then continuity of care, which is a measure of quality and the consistency of care over time, has also reached a 2-year high of 77% this spring and has remained above average for 8 consecutive months. These improvements were measured between January and June of 2025 and have been sustained, so reflecting real progress towards making care more accessible and consistent for the people we serve. All right, next slide. So I just want to take a couple minutes here and introduce you to some of the new folks that we have brought on board to provide care this year. So we've welcomed several new providers, each bringing valuable experience and fresh perspectives to our team. Dr. Jenny Abrams joined our team in December, and Dr. Abrams comes to us with a fellowship in integrative medicine. So she'll be working to build a robust integrative medicine program for KANA's patients. Physician assistant Alana Branson, whom you see here on the screen, is a Shunak tribal member who returned home to Kodiak and also joined our team in December. So we're thrilled to have Alana at KANA and providing care to their community. In September, we welcomed Dr. Connor Rogan, who grew up here in Kodiak, along with Belinda Chambers in behavioral health and Philip Hurd as our new village primary care advanced practice provider. So KANA now directly employs 33 healthcare providers, including medical, dental, behavioral health clinicians, and physical therapists. And we also contract with an additional 24 providers who provide additional support across all of our service lines. Another thing that we are working on, and this is kind of looking ahead to this coming year, is we're looking to bring more specialty services closer to home so fewer people have to travel off islands. We recognize that needing to travel to access care can be complicated. And so we want to help remove some of those barriers. One of the first service areas that we are focusing on is colonoscopies. We know that colonoscopies are no one's idea of fun and certainly not something that people look forward to traveling for. So we are partnering both with ANMC providers and Providence providers to try to bring that service here to Kodiak to make that a little bit easier to access for folks. We have a few other service lines that we'll be looking at in the next year to see what we can bring here to Kodiak so people don't have to travel. And that is my update. But before I go, I was asked to remind everybody we have a vaccine clinic available. So if anybody would like flu or COVID shots, we have our nursing folks down the hall here who would be happy to stick you in the arm with either or both. So thank you.
Thanks, Krista. While we advance the slides, I wanted to highlight a collaboration that we have or had with our good friends at Kodiak. Kodiak reached out to KANA this year and asked if we would be a partner in their community services project that they put on annually in the region. And was really pleased by Kodiak's invitation, and Kodiak has been such an incredible partner in the region, and wanted to thank them, and thanks Tom for being part of it. And I'll tell a little bit more about what we did, but I think Tom still has some paint on his knuckles from coming on down and helping out in the community. And so the Kodiak, the community services project this year, the team chose to select elder services as their focus for this year. And so KANA and Kodiak staff came together and surveyed elders through phone calls, sending out postcards, and posting a request for information in our elder newsletter. And elders responded that they would like to have home projects completed around the house. So several KANA and Kodiak staff came together. In total, it was 73 volunteers. Many executives from Kodiak from across the country came into the region to spend their time supporting our elders here in town. And on July 24th, they came together to serve 18 elder beneficiary households, painting, chopping firewood, hauling items to the dump, washing windows, and other household projects. And the Kodiak Island Borough kicked in by waiving all dump fees for that project so that all resource could be focused on service delivery and not paying fees at the dump. And so I want to thank our good friends at the Kodiak Island Borough also for kicking in on that. Volunteers also sent out several banya baskets to our elders in the villages so that Kodiak's Community Services Project was also able to impact people in all communities on the island. So once again, I'd like to thank Kodiak for all the work they do, and I'd like to thank Kodiak for the invitation to participate. It's a really wonderful opportunity for us to collaborate, and Kodiak is always very thoughtful about inviting us and other partners to come together. So being a Kodiak person there, Tom, I'm looking at you. Thanks a lot, and be sure to extend our appreciation. Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Rosa Skonberg to the podium. She is our Workforce and Economic Development Director to give you some updates that are happening within our Community Services Department.
Hi, good morning, everyone. As Mike said, I'm Rosa Skonberg, and I'm the Workforce and Economic Development Director here at KANA. Thank you for allowing me to share some exciting projects our team's been working on. Later this year, hopefully in November, we'll be opening up the Liwig, which in Alutiiq means a place to learn. The Liwig is going to be located right here at the marketplace, downstairs between Barefoot Bakery and Onco. And this will be a space where our beneficiaries, you all, can access laptops, Wi-Fi, a printer, as well as other resources and support to help you pursue employment, education, and personal growth. In this space, we'll be adding a new staff person that will manage on-site services and expand hours. So people who can't make it in during the regular workday can still access these services in the evening. Once the Liwig opens, it will be available from Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. with dedicated youth hours after school. So youth can come in and have access to tutoring services, practice taking their permit test, and just to get general support to help them reach their goals. Another really exciting project we've been working on is a partnership with the Kodiak Middle School, where staff from KANA and the Alutiiq Museum have been supporting the development of a new elective class called the Culture Class. This new class focused on Alaska Native culture was inspired by the success that KANA's Prevention and Wellness and Tribal Vocational Rehabilitations team had last school year, where they worked with students during 7th period to connect culture to education and employment goals. Culture Quest launched this school year as a regular elective course offered to all middle school students and is designed to provide culturally meaningful activities and to celebrate identity and strengthen community, connection, and pride among Kodiak's youth. Lastly, oh, I'm so sorry, Sam, I forgot to tell you next slide. You got it, okay. Lastly, KANA and Kodiak are collaborating with the Alutiiq Museum on the store and visitor space downstairs that will reopen as the Native Welcome Center. The space connects residents and visitors with Kodiak's Native community. Inside the Native Welcome Center, guests will find an introduction to the Alutiiq Sugpiaq world and a selection of artwork created by local artists. Kodiak provided $200,000 in seed funding to acquire artwork for the center, which helped create economic opportunities and employment opportunities for our beneficiaries. The Alutiiq Museum is contributing its professional staff, furnishings, and education materials to bring this space to life. And KANA is providing the space and interns from our workforce and economic development programs who will be working alongside museum staff to gain experience in customer service, artist support, and retail management. Really excited to share that they are going to be reopening during Moonlight Madness and the community block party here at the marketplace on October 17th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then in October, every Friday from 10 to 5 with expanded hours in November. So I encourage you all to swing by the new space and show your support for this exciting new opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. I'd now like to invite Vice President of Community Services, Arwen Boats, to come on up and share with you some other community services programs that we provide, such as Child and Family Services.
Thank you so much, Mike. Chimai, everyone. I am Arwen Boats, Vice President of Community Services, and I'm thrilled to be here today to talk about some exciting things we did over the last year and what's coming up next year. So within within Community Services, we have Child and Family Services, and this team over the last year helped 181 clients and provided more than $400,000 in direct support. This includes rental assistance, groceries, freight costs to the villages, baby and household items, and utilities support. We also welcomed 642 attendees at the Kodiak Annual Children's Fair held right here in the marketplace. If you can imagine 600 some little people running around here, might be a little more chaotic than today is. We supported 246 village households through our Food to the Village initiative. And when we were concerned about Mount Spur exploding, we distributed 70 disaster preparedness kits to village residents. And we hosted 39 women this year at the Women's Wellness Retreat on Woody Island. KANA helped to coordinate the community-wide Choose Respect March in town and in the villages alongside Shunak, Kodiak Women's Resource and Crisis Center, and other Prevention Coalition partners. This helped people to raise awareness about domestic violence. Following a regional victim needs assessment, a village-based victim advocate was hired in Uzinki for a pilot project with the hopes to expand a model similar to this in additional communities in the future. This model can really give more immediate support in times of incredible stress. We were recently awarded 2 grants through the Administration of Children and Families, ACF, focused on supporting vulnerable families through home visiting. Home visiting meaning someone comes in your home and they help you figure out what you want to be doing with your kids, how to be the best parent you can, and how to have your family thrive. The Family Violence Prevention's Abused Parents and Children's Project provided the funds needed to establish a family support specialist. This person serves as a combination of a case manager, a home visitor, and an advocate all in one, which then reduces the amount of people that our clients need to work with. And it also has been improving client outcomes such as a reduction in the removal of children by OCS, reduction in feelings of depression, isolation, and stress. Our tribal McV, which McV is a funny term for maternal infant early childhood home visiting, which you don't say 10 times fast, is a 5-year agreement that consists of community needs and readiness assessment in our first year, trying to find out what exactly we need from home visiting over the next 4 years. And then we will use those funds to establish an additional family support specialist, because our current FSS, as we call her, has a very high caseload and has become somewhat limited in her capacity to serve additional families because of how unique this position is. KANA is the only organization in our region to offer this service, and these grants continue to allow KANA to expand and improve our efforts. Next slide, please, Sam. Thank you. Our teams traveled to 5 villages this year to host community resource fairs. You probably know over the last years we've had health fairs in the villages, and this year we wanted to be really intentional with having some longer conversations and really offer community support where We can help with the applications for things like our real IDs and answer those questions versus just having booths and people come and smile and wave. So this really worked well, and I think that we're going to replicate that in the future. It's one way that we're making it easier for people to access these services without having to leave their community. Our employment and training program served 246 clients in all of our communities this year, helping individuals gain new skills and connect with meaningful opportunities. Through the Summer Youth Employment and Training Program, which you've probably heard as SYETP, young people worked in the cities of Kodiak and Port Lions in a variety of positions throughout Old Harbor and in the native village of Afognac's hydroponics farm. These all gave invaluable experience close to home. Moving forward, we would like to support more services in our village communities, including childcare. One example is in Uzinki, where we're leveraging a wide variety of funding sources to partner with the tribe and establish a new childcare center. If KANA is able, we hope to support similar initiatives in other communities in the future. On the economic development side, KANA is working with the University of Alaska Anchorage on a regional study to better understand why people leave our village communities and what the opportunities would be to help them stay. This project looks at the local needs, employment, and housing, and will help guide future investments that strengthen community stability. As part of this effort, KANA intends to visit all 6 villages to gather their specific input. So far, we've been successful with 5, most recently out in Larson Bay, where we hosted a community event to talk about transportation, to talk about housing, and talk about mariculture opportunities. Our environmental program and our grants team have also supported the native village of Kodiak in applying for funding to design a new pier and a fuel header system to support fuel delivery. If awarded, this project will help fill that gap that was left by the closure of the Alatak cannery and really support Kodiak down the road. Kuyana.
Thanks, Arwen. I'd now like to invite to come to the front our environmental program supervisor, Ms. Andy Wall.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Andy Wall. As Mike said, I am the Environmental Program Supervisor at KANA, and I have the honor of sharing some of our program highlights with you today. I've been at KANA for about 6.5 years, and when we started in the environmental program, we were much smaller. But now I like to describe our program in these 5 pillars that you'll see up on the screen, and I'll talk a little bit about each one of these. But the environmental program has grown in its impact across the region, creating strong partnerships driven by community input and hands-on work that supports both the people and place. We're expanding regional and statewide collaborations through new subawards with Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium and the Chugach Regional Resources Commission. Our ANTHC subaward brings $2.7 million over 5 years to support climate adaptation and resilience work. The goal is to help communities develop climate adaptation plans, hazard mitigation plans, host knowledge sharing events, and deliver training that's rooted in both Western science and traditional knowledge. We're adding new staff to manage this workload, and an environmental liaison will be on board in November to really drive this initiative. Through our partnership with the Chugach Regional Resources Commission, we're part of the Alaska South Coast Resiliency Partnership. It's a network of tribal organizations working together to strengthen coastal resilience across Alaska, the South Coast region specifically. Our focus here in Kodiak is building a regional network through the partnership, supporting coastal restoration projects and engaging with tribes on local priorities. We really want to make sure that tribes are driving what resilience and adaptation looks like. And this 3-year project brings about $1 million of funding. We just had this first week, our Kodiak Regional Catalyst started with us, and we're gonna also be bringing on 2 village catalysts to help support this project. KANA secured funding for our Kodiak Food Systems Vulnerability Assessment, and that project is well underway. In 2025, this last summer, we distributed a Kodiak Food Security Survey. We had more than 100 responses and responses from every community. And the next step in that is to host a traditional foods gathering. We're aiming for January, so more to come on that, but really to share the results and gather community input to make sure that this survey isn't just another survey that's collecting information. How do we engage with our food systems? How do we engage with the data that we've collected? Also under this project, we collaborated with Caleb Peterson and the prevention team to host 6 traditional plant medicine events, 1 in each community. The goal here and through these events is to really have culturally grounded pathways for holistic well-being, emphasizing food as medicine, revitalizing traditional practices, and strengthening intergenerational relationships. As of this year, KANA is also looking at managing 2 additional EPA IGAP programs to provide technical assistance. An IGAP program is an Indian General Assistance Program that's often the foundation of environmental work. And so KANA has an EPA IGAP consortium grant, which supports the priorities for all the tribes in the region and really helps drive these pillars that you see, including solid waste management, water quality monitoring, and other initiatives. But in addition to the consortium grant, KANA is going to be administering 2 tribal IGAP grants, 1 for Kodiak and 1 for Karluk. This lets KANA take on the administrative burden of grant reporting and really having coordinators for those tribes to work on initiatives that are of importance to them. The goal with these programs is to work ourselves out of a job. So working one-on-one with that community and that tribe to make sure that then they can run the IGAP program themselves if they so choose. Additionally, under the energy pillar, our team supported the city of Kodiak with a solar design project that is close to awarding a contract for the design and engineering of a community scale solar and battery system. Under the solid waste and infrastructure pillar, we worked to backhaul more than 30,000 pounds of recyclables and potentially hazardous materials from Kodiak from the surrounding communities. We completed a waste stream analysis in Old Harbor and Port Lions. This is the first of the kind in the region, and a waste stream analysis is really important for solid waste management because it tells you what's being put into the landfill. How can that waste be diverted? How can it better be stored and separated or recycled? This helps communities identify opportunities to reduce the waste, cuts disposal costs, and supports public health. In addition, we are working to increase infrastructure improvements for waste management. We're working closely with each village and have identified key infrastructure needs to strengthen local waste management systems, including the most recent examples of Larsen Bay and Uzinki. New burn units have been identified as key priorities and are being confirmed this week. They're being transported from Seattle to Kodiak and will be making their way to their communities soon. Last pillar, water quality monitoring. We've been working to understand how changing ocean conditions may be affecting subsistence resources and economic development opportunities such as kelp and oyster farms. One key focus area is ocean acidification. Ocean acidification is the gradual change in ocean chemistry caused by the ocean absorbing more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. I'm not a chemist. This one always trips me up. But as the water becomes more acidic, it can be harder for shell-building organisms to build their shells so they can become more brittle, which really affects traditional foods and the mariculture industry. Since 2019, the environmental team has supported the collection of more than 350 ocean acidification samples. Major shout out to the tribal environmental staff in Larsen Bay, Old Harbor, Uzinki, and Port Lions, and more recently the native village of Afognak, who are collecting these samples. We're supporting the analysis and communication of that data. The team is also tracking harmful algal blooms around Kodiak. These blooms can affect shellfish safety, and we have free testing available for our program right now for subsistence, and we're also looking at ways to support the mariculture industry by providing free testing there as well. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, our booth is right over there.
Thanks, Andy. I see a question.
Thank you. I understand that in Kodiak, they have a tremendous amount of wind. Have you considered putting up small windmills? It doesn't have to be a big windmill like what's on Pillar Mountain, but my father's son has a little windmill on his trailer, and he could actually put more energy back into the grid that accumulates. So that's an idea. And on the ocean problem, there's a group that has fed the plankton that feed the fish. And it's really simple. It was an interesting, thank you.
Thank you for the question. I know that we have looked into windmills in Kodiak because, as you say, it's tremendously windy. I do need to announce the closure of the polls before we go on. Thank you for the questions and for the information. I want to go into an update on a survey that we completed on KANA's economic impact in the community. We've talked a lot so far today about the programs that we're providing. But before I go further on the economic impact, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that on the Alaska 49er list of top grossing corporations, we had Kodiak come in at number 7. We had Afognak Native Corporation come in at number 13, and we had Natives of Kodiak come in at number 26. So I wanted to acknowledge those corporations and all the corporations around the island for all of the things you're doing for your shareholders and for the communities that we serve. So thank you for that. KANA's economic impact survey was started in late 2024. We used 2023 numbers for the survey because that's the most recent year that we could pull data from. The survey was conducted by performing an inventory of KANA's organization, programs, and service, an analysis of our expenditures in the region, a survey of KANA employees, and an analysis of the direct and indirect impacts that our presence in the Kodiak borough has. So in 2023, KANA directly employed a monthly average of 270 employees. And in addition to those 270 employees, there are another 80 indirect and induced employees. So employees of other organizations that are serving KANA, or that the impact that we make on the organization, it creates other jobs in the community. So that's a total impact of 350 jobs in the Kodiak region. The labor income, that includes wages and benefits for KANA employees and for the indirect employees, represents $29 million in the Kodiak Island borough. And the economic activity, KANA invests $30 million every year into the borough through our expenditures and our activity. And the indirect impact of that $30 million is an additional $10 million. So it's $40 million annually that that KANA as an organization puts into our local economy. Next slide, please. A project that we're working on, I was approached by somebody a few months ago who had been in Southeast and who observed the Prince of Wales Inter-Island Ferry Authority, ferry that serves the region. And I was asked about an opportunity, or if it could be possible for a ferry to serve our rural communities here in Kodiak. And the two examples that I have, we sent a refrigerator out to one of our villages, and the cost to send the refrigerator, the shipping cost was more than the actual cost of the refrigerator. And talked to somebody who was shipping a vehicle out to a village, and it was $4,000 to try to get a vehicle out to a village. And so the cost of shipping is so exorbitant, it makes living in our rural communities really, really difficult. So we commissioned the University of Anchorage, Alaska Center for Economic Development to do a feasibility study for if and how we could try to develop a more cost-effective transportation model around the island to supplement the other options that we're currently utilizing. So that's in the works. What we've found and what we know is that most ferry systems are subsidized. and likely would need to be subsidized if we were able to create something around the island. But the fact that it would need to be subsidized isn't something that will stop us from trying to come up with a better solution than what we have now, because it makes living in our rural communities such a tremendous challenge. So I just wanted to give an update on an idea that was brought forward that we're looking into to try to make living in the region more sustainable. And in closing, I'd like to share, I was asked to, in closing, I just want to talk about KANA and what KANA is today and how we got here. And I was asked to present a few weeks ago on KANA, what KANA is, how we work in the region with our tribal partners, with our corporations. And as I was sitting there putting together information for what KANA is and how we started, Sam, could you put that other slide that I sent you last night up on? It occurred to me that I should call Tina Hohen. And so I gave Tina a call and I said, why'd you do it? And so this paper that you're seeing, and it's probably pretty small, but what you're looking at are the 10 signatures of the people who incorporated KANA. This document was signed in November of 1966. And what Tina said was, we got together when the native lands claim ANCSA was coming through. There was one doctor, one dentist, and one optometrist in town. There was a complete lack of services available to natives. We had to fly to Anchorage for healthcare. So a group of us got together and spent a lot of nights with a typewriter and carbon copy paper. We wanted to do something that was lasting. And I thought about that. That really resonated with me. And I called Tina because I didn't think to ask her the first time. And I said, what do you think? What do you think of KANA today? Is it what you had in mind? And she said, and I'm paraphrasing, and Tina, you can fact check me if I'm wrong. But what I heard Tina say was that KANA's great, and she's really proud of what those 10 people did 59 years ago. So thanks, Tina, and thanks everybody here for all of the work that you do, all of the people that support the organization. I'm really proud to be part of it, and I'm really glad Tina could be here. So thank you. Next item on the agenda is KANA staff recognitions. We have a lot of KANA staff here. I'd like to invite KANA staff, if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself. I think it's important for our beneficiaries to see the people that are working hard in support every day. I'll start. I'm Mike Pfeffer, KANA's CEO. Yesterday was my 19th year. So I've been here for 19 years and one day.
I already introduced myself, but again, my name is Carissa Stoker and I'm the Vice President of Health Services for KANA. I have been here, it will be 9 years in 5 days.
Hi again, Arwen Boats, Vice President of Community Services, 12 and a half-ish years. Have a great day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Miles. I'm the Vice President of Public Affairs, and I've been with KANA for 15 years.
Shmai, I'm Jen Caskey. I've been with KANA for 8.5 years and I'm Chief of Staff.
Ali Bayani with KANA for 2.5 years as the CFO.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kylie Yavorsky. I'm the Communications Manager and I'm coming up on 7 years with KANA.
Hello again, Rosa Skonberg, the Workforce and Economic Development Director, and I just celebrated 10 years in September.
Good morning, I'm Maggie Shirley. I'm the Employment and Training Manager, and I've been here for 2 years.
Good morning, my name is Jim McClellan. I'm the Facilities Director, and I've also been here for 2 years.
Good morning. My name is Nate Belanger. I'm the Deputy Facility Director, and I've been here for 2 years.
Me again, Andy Wall, Environmental Program Supervisor, and I've had the pleasure of working here for 6.5 years.
Chimay, I'm Brandy Wagner. I am a second generation KANA employee. I am a referred care coordinator, and yesterday I was here for 2 years. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shelly Salgador. I am the HR manager, and I've been with KANA for 2 years and 8 months.
Good morning. My name is Marilos Fangunilo, and I'm the Patient Benefits Coordinator. I've been here for 2.5 years. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Steve Atolos. I've had the pleasure of being your staff dentist for 9 years in November.
My name's Jennifer Knowles. I work as a staff accountant in the finance department, and I've been with KANA for 2.5 years.
Hi, my name is Ashley Hewling. I am the new dental office manager and I am brand new. I'm like 3 months in.
Hi, my name is Rika Makapuga. I'm a dental assistant and I've been here for almost 5 years.
Hi, my name is Matthew Makapuga. I'm a dental assistant and I've been working here for 3.5 months.
Hi, good morning. I'm Heather Parker. I'm a dental hygienist and case manager, and I've been with KANA, honored to serve for 30 years.
Of course, I gotta follow 38 years. So Shanna Rockenbach, I'm in the communications department. I am the design coordinator and I've been with KANA for 7 years.
Hi, I'm Quentin Reif. I'm a communication specialist and I've been here for 5 months.
Chimay, I'm Kelly Slavin. I'm the patient experience director and I've been with KANA for 4.5 years.
Chimay, I'm Sarah Stopsoff, and I've been with KANA for about 14 years, and I'm a tribal vocational rehabilitation counselor.
Hi, everybody. I'm the daughter of late Florence Pesterkoff and Charles Pesterkoff. My name is Lori Walker. I've been with KANA for going on 3 years. My title is Voc Rehab Counselor, and it has been an honor to serve my fellow beneficiaries.
Hi, my name is Maya Contreras, and I've been with KANA for 2 years. I'm the Child and Family Services Manager.
Chamay, I'm Ofisova. I'm a home visitor, visiting coordinator. I've been here for almost 4 years.
Hello, I'm Brian Nayrog. I'm the chief pharmacist here, and I will be celebrating 19 years with KANA next month.
My name is Jody Coe. I am the lead intensive case manager and I'll be with KANA for 4 years next month.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marie Green and I've been with KANA for 14 years and I'm the Child Advocacy Center Director.
Good morning, I'm Brittany Freed. I'm one of the physical therapists and I've been here for 2 years.
Chimay, my name is Rachel German, and I'm the Director of Rehab Services. I've been here for about 4.5 years.
Hello, my name is Megan Ellis. I am the Wellness and Prevention Supervisor, and I've been here for 9 months.
Hello, my name is Tasha Peterson. I'm the Substance Use Program Supervisor, and I've been here for 4 years.
Hi, I'm Colby Perez. I'm a mental health clinician, and this month I'll be here with KANA for 4 years.
I'm Lisa Truitt. Chimay, I've been with KANA 6.5 years, and I'm in the Wellness and Specialist Department.
Hello, I'm Karen Milstein. I'm a physician assistant. I worked in the medical clinic for 25 years, and I've been the medical supervisor for the Child Advocacy Center for the last 10 years.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. And my name is Lacel Vista, and I'm working at Postal Clerk at U.S. Postal Service, and I'm working with KANA for 11 years.
Good morning, I'm Allison Fong. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives, and I've been with KANA for a little over a year.
Shemaya, my name is BC Butler. I've been with KANA for 5 years and I am the administrative manager.
Hello, my name is Ivan Castellon. I'm the IT operations manager and I've been with KANA for 5 years.
Jemai, my name is Sam Booch. I'm the compliance manager and I've been with KANA for 8 years.
Shemai, my name is Gwen Sargent, and I've been with KANA 26 years cumulatively. And I right now am the executive director of the Woody Island Tribal Council.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the staff for coming up and thanks to you for supporting them. We really appreciate it. The people that we have working for us every day are the people that I rely on every day. I see a question there, Carlene.
Thank you. I see that you're going to have childcare in one of the villages. I go to borough assembly meetings, and it is my understanding that the taxes that are collected in the villages go back to the city, to each village is called a city. And then the borough assembly, their main job is education. And I've seen in the newspaper that Uzinki has 18 students. There's 2 school teachers, 2 aides, a custodian, a cook, and in some villages, there's even a bus driver. And so the village expenses, even Carlick was $50,000 a year per student. So what I'm wanting to talk to you about is childcare. Representatives of KANA, Kodiak, and Shunak have gone to the borough assembly wanting to rent the North Star, a wing of the North Star School. With your number of employees, can you not buy your own building and do your own daycare center without burdening the Kodiak taxpayers with this? Thank you.
Sure, thank you. The challenge for childcare centers, as folks may recognize, is the need for space and for a playground area. And KANA is not at this point a childcare operator, but there is a tribe in the region who is. And if there's a way that that tribe can utilize a facility that has the support required for a childcare center such as North Star, we're glad to advocate for that because the broader community impact of having childcare available is significant. If people have childcare, they can go to work. If people have childcare, they know that their children are safe and protected. And so we're happy to support and advocate for childcare wherever we may because of the broader social impact and because of the immediate impact that it has upon our employees and other employees in the region. Thank you. I'd like to, and I know we just went through and introduced several of our staff, but not all of our staff are here today. So I'm going to go through our staff who have years of service, starting with 5 years. And we have VC Butler, Yvonne Castillon, Elkin Katabig, Dr. Sam Chelmo, who actually has 13 years. He's hit 5 years. He had 8 years prior, and then he went on a brief sabbatical. Charlene Fortaleza, Jury Fortaleza, Jasmine Galindo, Dr. Katie Gray, Rosalind Green, Josephina Helms, Rhonda Higgs, Nick Kessling, Megan Cormetis, Cassie Leva, Lachlan Morris, Chris Noken, Lisa Pasqua, Irene Prigo, Shimin Reyes, Wendy Ronquillo, Darlene Santos, Marilyn Tamises, Ray Vizda, and Amy Watkins. Thanks to those 24 employees for hitting their 5 years of service. Next, 10 years of service, we have 4 individuals: Matthew Kozak, Doreen Phillips, Stephanie Shryak, and Rosa Skonberg. Thank you. "15 years, Kat Gron, Nicole Miles, Tanya Valerio, and Gwen Sargent. And I know Gwen said 26, but that's the cumulative. And for how we're presenting this, she's got 15 years in a row with a brief sabbatical there in the middle. So thanks, Gwen, for 15 and 26 years. And now, do we have Zoom? Do we have Joanna Penfold McFarland on Zoom? I'd like to recognize Ms. Karen Milstein, who, depending upon who you ask, but I'm gonna ask her, has been here for 28 years. Karen, would you mind coming on up?
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to honor Karen Milstein for over 2 decades of service to the Kodiak Area Native Association and the communities that we serve. And in total, she's worked 28 years. I think I just heard her say 25, but she began in 1994 with a break and she returned to KANA in 2005. And as a dedicated medical provider, Karen has had a vital presence both at KANA in the clinic and across the remote villages of the Kodiak archipelago. And she ensured consistent and competent medical care for countless individuals, children, and families. And Karen's impact extends far beyond her routine clinical work. For nearly 15 years, she's been an integral part of the multidisciplinary team, and she was working to prevent child abuse. And Karen was actually one of the founding contributors to beginning the Child Advocacy Center, and she witnessed the corrosive impacts to her patients, and she advocated for a Child Advocacy Center in Kodiak. And her passion for protecting vulnerable children, coupled with her steadfast reliability and her deep commitment, has shaped, her into one of Alaska's most experienced medical providers in the field of child maltreatment. And throughout her career, Karen's provided expert medical evaluations. She collaborated closely with our community partners. She testified in numerous legal proceedings, which were very difficult. She helped to ensure justice and healing for victims, and her contributions have not only supported children and families, but she also helped to advance best practice in child protection across the state of Alaska. She exemplifies professional integrity and ethical practice. She's a role model in her approach to self-care and sustainability in a very challenging field. And she demonstrates that compassion and endurance can coexist when they're fueled by purpose and balance. And she's been a role model for all of us in that way. We're profoundly grateful for Karen's years of dedicated service, her leadership, her compassionate care. She's made an indelible healing mark on the Kodiak and KANA community, and she continues to inspire those around her through her unwavering commitment to the well-being of others, especially our most vulnerable. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to spend the majority of my career here at KANA, which I really believe is a wonderful organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. And while we have Joanna on screen, I want to thank you, Joanna. Joanna began her career with KANA in June of 2012. She joined the Child Advocacy Center as manager and later became the director. Over the next 13 years, her leadership made a lasting impact on Kodiak's children, families, and community. Since its founding in 2011, the Child Advocacy Center has played a vital role in supporting children and families affected by abuse. Joanna was instrumental in building the strong multidisciplinary team we have today, one that's recognized across Alaska for its collaboration and effectiveness. Beyond the Child Advocacy Center, Joanna brought essential education and awareness to schools, sports teams, and villages, helping communities recognize and respond to concerns for children with care and confidence. She was always a trusted and compassionate resource for those seeking guidance. In August 2025, Joanna relocated to Montana to be closer to her family. While she's greatly missed, her dedication and compassion have left a lasting legacy. Thank you, Joanna, for your years of service and the difference you made for Kodiak's children, families, and the community.
Thank you so much, Mike. KANA has been such a amazing place to work. And it was such an honor to serve Kodiak and the children there. And I really miss you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joanna. One other staff member I'd like to single out, acknowledge, recognize, Ms. Heather Parker. Heather? Heather's been here for 30 years. She was 12 when she started. We're honored to recognize and celebrate Heather Parker for reaching an extraordinary milestone, 30 years of dedicated service to KANA. From the very beginning, she's been an essential part of our mission. Over the years, she has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to excellence, consistently showing up with integrity, compassion, and a strong sense of purpose. Her deep knowledge, positive outlook, and tireless work ethic have not only elevated the team she's been part of, but have also left a lasting impression on the many patients and families she has supported. Throughout her career, Heather has gracefully adapted to change, embraced new challenges, and taken on every opportunity to contribute to the organization's growth. From mentoring new staff to being a trusted colleague and a calming presence to patients, her impact is seen and felt every day. Heather truly embodies what it means to lead by example, and her contributions over the past 30 years speak volumes about her character, dedication, and love for her work. She finds fulfillment in being part of a team that shares her passion for community care and patient support. She especially values the relationships she's built with coworkers who have become like family and with patients whose lives she has touched in meaningful ways. For Heather, it's the sense of purpose, the opportunity to mentor and grow, and the collaborative spirit of KANA that makes her work so rewarding. Heather's kindness and calm demeanor have created countless positive moments, but one story in particular stands out. A patient once arrived for a dental appointment visibly anxious and distressed. Recognizing the patient's need for extra support, Heather took time out of her day to sit with them, offering comfort and reassurance. What could have been a stressful experience was transformed into a peaceful and affirming one, thanks to Heather's genuine care. It's moments like these, and that's not just one moment, it's several, because we've all seen this happen time over time with Heather supporting our patients. It's moments like these, small in appearance but deeply impactful, that defined the heart of her service. Please join us in celebrating Heather Parker's 30 years of outstanding service. Her legacy is one of compassion, dedication, and excellence, and we're all better for having her on our team.
Thank you.
Welcome.
This is great.
Thank you all, Quiana. It's been an honor, like we've all said, and it's truly from the heart. We are privileged to serve our beneficiaries and our community. I've grown up with KANA. I wasn't 12, I was 22 when I started, but I'll always be thankful. And, you know, as you grow with KANA, looking back, it's amazing where it's come from. People say, how do you stay somewhere for 30 years? Well, when you work with an organization that has patients that you know and love and care about, in a community that you all care about, and you work with staff that are all there for the right reasons because we care. It's amazing, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. Yeah, this is like the Emmys. I could go on if I started naming names, but thank you all, and it's an honor.
Next on the agenda, I'd like to invite Ms. Natasha Singh. Natasha is the CEO and president of the Alaska Native Health Consortium. But before she joins us, I'd like to point out that her son Isaac has a Mariners jersey on, and I don't know if anybody saw the game last night. Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you. We're the rowdy ones in the front, being messy and hollering. So
Thank you for allowing my son to be here today. Thank you to the board, President Mike, and the team for the invitation to join your annual meeting. My name is Natasha Singh, and I serve as the ANTHC President and CEO. I'm KANA Thabascan from Stevens Village, which is in the middle of the state, probably the opposite of an island. So I don't know anything about the ocean, but I do know about being native. And before I came to ANTHC, I was with Tanana Chiefs Conference for 14 years. The last time I presented, I was the interim president and CEO, and I was appointed in March as the permanent CEO. And I think I've aged about 5 years since the last time I saw you all. I want to say I just agree what's been said about the KANA staff. I think the KANA staff are just amazing, and I got to spend more time. I've spent a lot of time with the KANA staff over the years in our partnership with Tanana Chiefs, but recently in the spring we came down, and I just agree. Everything about the KANA staff is so amazing, and they really embody the native values, the Supiaq values that we're trying to mimic at ANTHC in Anchorage, that our staff really carry out our native values in the care for our patients. Thank you to the presentation on blood quantum. Learn something every day, so that's very interesting. And congratulations on the economic impact the native entities have on this island and the state and the nation. It's just amazing to hear the data. You see it when you come to this island. You see it that this is a native island. This is a Supiaq island, and you see it in all the infrastructure and the services here. I do have a few quick updates from the ANTHC board. At the August meeting, we established a governance executive committee. The committee will assist the board in fulfilling its responsibilities, including education and training, overseeing executive compensation, developing and maintaining ANTHC's bylaws and board policies, and advising management between regular meetings. The committee includes the officers of the board plus 3 elected directors, which includes yours truly, Director Loretta Nelson. So thank Director Nelson for serving on this very important newly established committee. Earlier this year, ANTHC and South Central Foundation worked long hours, nights, and weekends to find collaborative solutions to support negotiated agreements on several issues. This included SCF joining all other regional tribal health organizations, several tribes, tribal organizations, and ANCSA corporations in supporting the transfer of the Alaska Native Medical Center ownership from the federal government to ANTHC. The transfer request has been submitted to the IHS, and I want to thank you again for KANA's support. I think Kodiak was the first ANCSA corporation to support ANTHC in ownership of the medical center, and I just think it's quite telling about the unity you have with your tribal organizations in this region. So thanks again to all your help. And Afognak also supported ANTHC. We're excited to welcome Al Montoya as ANTHC's Chief Operating Officer. This is a newly established position. Al provided more than 27 years of distinguished service to our nation. Most recently, he served as Deputy Assistant Undersecretary for Health Operations at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, providing oversight of fiscal and operational performance across 18 integrated service networks, representing 170 healthcare systems and hospitals serving more than 9 million veterans annually. Al provides leadership over the Alaska Native Medical Center, capital projects, communities, Health Services, Division of Environmental Health and Engineering, Ethics and Compliance, and Human Resources. You can see his contact information here, so all complaints now get to go to Al. But he's only been here for 90 days, but he's really, like, in 90 days, he's picked up so quickly our operations. He's been out to 9 villages. And he really knows hospital operations in this kind of new way that we haven't seen before. He's really actively recruiting a new hospital chief executive where we want to bring in that experience in operating high functional systems, but also lessons learned from the past. We also want someone who is going to drive the culture of the organization and the workforce to establish the hospital and THC as a native place that carries our values. We're grateful for Dr. Jeremy Hunter. He's been serving as the interim ANMC administrator, and we really appreciate KANA for hosting Al and Dr. Hunter this past month. We appreciate the candid feedback on how we need to enhance our collaboration. We're excited to get Al and David Beveridge to Larson Bay to see our water and sanitation projects in action. David Beveridge, our VP of Division of Environmental Health and Engineering, announced at the beginning of this summer that he plans to retire next year. He will have completed 25 years of service to the Alaska Tribal Health System. He has helped bring in more than $1 billion in water and sanitation project funding to Alaska, helped to end the state's use of the best practice scores that cause funding barriers for first service projects, among other accomplishments. We will share more about the recruitment process for that position as it becomes available. At the August meeting, the ANTHC board unanimously approved the Alaska Native Health Board Medevac Task Force recommended proposed settlement between ANTHC and settling regional tribal health organizations set forth in the agreement. This includes payments to each settling tribal health organization according to the amounts. Just to give a summary of this issue, ANTHC has historically paid for the medevacs from the Anchorage Service Unit to ANMC. KANA and Kodiak lie in the Anchorage Service Unit, so ANTHC is supposed to be paying for those medevacs. I know there's a few issues that we need to work out, but for the other regional tribal health organizations, they have historically been responsible for those medevacs. The medevacs, as you all know, have really increased in costs, putting a real strain on regional tribal health organizations, on ANTHC. We worked out a compromise over the past year, and this is what the settlement is really referring to. I think this really tells the story of the Indian Health Service and Congress does not appropriate the funding necessary to serve all of our needs as Native patients. And we're constantly in negotiation with each other because of the shortfall. And rather than really tear each other apart, we stand in unity and we build each other up. We have those hard conversations, and this medevac discussion was just an example of that. So thank you to KANA. They weren't a part of the settling THOs, but I think Mike and his team always are able to talk with me and give me advice, without filtering it, and in that caring way that your values really ask for. So again, please contact Al if you have any questions about any really of the operations. I'm so glad we have this newly established position to address these issues. Next slide, please. At the close of Q3, ANTHC had an operating margin of negative 0.4%. We anticipate reaching break even, the goal outlined for FY25. Cross your fingers, we'll know more as the year-end financial activities are completed. Cash collections for the hospital were near 70 million for the third consecutive month over the summer months, highlighting a 10.2% in revenue growth. The 105 leases for the 2 recently purchased hotels were approved, and ANTHC received 3.5 million for part of the year, anticipating 7 million for the full fiscal year. At the August meeting, the board approved FY26 operating budget with an operating margin of 1.1%. This includes 30 million in key margin management assumptions. About 10, and these are the margin management assumptions here displayed for you. About 10 million in labor efficiency, 9 million in 105L leases, 5 million in revenue cycle, net of the SCF revenue share agreement, 3.8 million in pharmacy initiatives, and 2 million in corporate initiatives. Next slide, please. The board also reviewed a 3-year rolling financial plan, which projects a 3.7% margin in FY28. Several items were excluded from the 3-year financial plan that have various impacts, that will have various impacts on KANA likely as well. The potential for Medicaid cuts, we're really watching out for that. Unknown impacts caused by the current federal administration. Our Medevac pilot program, we don't know what the pilot program is really going to cost. I'm hoping it costs between 15 to 20 million. We can afford that. Anything above that, we'll take a hit on our financial position. As we unwind our strategic partnership with Alaska Pacific University to revert to a more traditional partnership, there are several expenses that roll into ours that could have a negative impact. We're hoping to get that hospital ownership transferred. It's unlikely it will occur in FY26, but we're hoping it does. But once it does transfer, that will allow $30 million annually to go towards the hospital. And then we're negotiating with our contract support costs with Indian Health Service that could be favorable. I mentioned the finances for ANTHC because it's so important. Also because we have only been a break-even or a loss organization for quite some time. And this does not allow us to be in the position to go to the banks and to be in a position to issue bonds to expand our services. And really, we need to have 3 years of a profitable run so that we can do that. Our patients are currently in the hallway at the hospital. We are at capacity every single day. We are having to discharge patients with no skilled nursing facility available, and our patients and our staff are in a tight position right now. We want to, with our expansion, we're going to get out of that, but the focus on our finances is so that in 3 years, we're going to continue our expansion to address patient needs. Next slide, please. I'm really excited about where we're going as an organization. Moving into the new fiscal year, the board streamlined our focused strategic scorecard on 8 key measures. This is a change from last year's 24 measures. Some of our scorecard measures are not yet final from FY25, so we'll be updating Director Nelson and KANA when those numbers come in. So we've refined it down to 8. 5 are displayed. First, employee engagement. As you all know, engaged employees support patient satisfaction measures. We will remain focused on employee engagement initiatives throughout the year. We're excited to share that our engagement score is trending above the national benchmark, and we've gone up for 3 consecutive years. Patient clinical satisfaction. Currently, we're in the 4th percentile nationally, meaning that's bad, okay? Well, there's a lot of room for improvement, and we're trying to go up. To get there, we're focusing on 3 key areas: staffing to ensure our teams are supported and well-resourced, systems to strengthen the tools and processes our clinics rely on, and patient experience to create an environment where every patient feels welcome, heard, and respected. Next is patient travel and lodging satisfaction. We're currently at 63% of patients reporting they are very satisfied with our travel and lodging, and our goal is to reach 70% by the end of the year. To get there, we're making targeted investments, including improvements to the lodging we operate and the launch of a new airport travel desk. We know the recent purchased Old Seward location for our hotel is not up to ANTHC's brand yet. This is the hotel by Moose's Tooth in Anchorage. I don't know if any of you have stayed there recently, but we bought the hotel because we're sending our patients out to the market in Anchorage. Those hotels really didn't meet the standard. It was also costing us $10 million a year. We now have 4 hotels. 3 of them are up to standard. This Old Seward location is getting renovated as we speak, and that hotel will be renovated to meet our standards. We know we have a long ways to go to improve patient travel and lodging. Our team has done so much to get a lot of the improvements you see now, but just exciting, the board chose patient travel and lodging as one of the 8 measures this year. Surgical cases, we're aiming to increase outpatient surgical cases by 5% next year while maintaining our current inpatient surgical volumes. This goal reflects our commitment to improving access, reducing wait times, and delivering timely patient-centered care. Next, specialty and field clinic visits. Historically, our annual goals have focused primarily on specialty clinic visits. Going forward, we're expanding the measure to include procedures and field clinic visits, capturing a more complete picture of the care our specialty clinics deliver. This shift aligns with our long-term goal to bring care closer to home for the communities we serve. To support this expanded approach, we're aiming for a 7% increase over FY25 totals. Reaching that target will require us to improve scheduling efficiency and increase appointment availability. Next slide, please. Next is our strategic plan engagement. We have a current strategic plan where our staff is really working hard on it. We went to the board and said, let's extend the current strategic plan, give us some runway to work on the next 5-year plan. The board agreed. So in FY26, we're going to do the engagement we need for a really strong strategic plan for the next 5 years. So we're going to be engaging the tribal health system in a new way. We have engaged Whitecap Consulting, and we're going to do at least 5 site visits. This is improved from the last strategic plan where we merely did a survey to our tribal health partners. This will include a survey, interviews, and site visits. So I'm really looking forward to a robust strategic plan. The board extending our strategic plan gives us the staff like the breathing room. They're really working in fast forward with a lot of our initiatives. But it also gives us the room to have a meaningful strategic plan in the future. Next is DHE performance. DHE is making significant progress to expand water and sanitation access in Alaska. As fiscal year end information comes together, we expect to have invested $122 million in FY25. We're focusing on increasing efficiency and accelerating project delivery in FY26 with a goal of achieving 30% growth in project completion next year. This progress means more water and sanitation projects reaching the communities that need them the most, faster and more effectively. In summary, we received a trickle of DHE funding in the past from Congress. Then with the infrastructure funding, it's like a fire hose of funding, and it's taking us a little bit to catch up. And by really focusing on this measure, we're going to be supporting the staff and our contractors on how to ensure we speed up the efficiency of getting that money delivered to our villages. Again, we can't accomplish any of our goals without our financial house in order. That's why operating margin remains significant focus next year. Our target in FY25 was break even or a 0.5% margin. Cross your fingers, I hope we get there. But in FY26, we're trying to more than double that with a 1.1% margin. Next slide, please. If there is I'm not sure if there's another one. Probably not, but I did want to give you an update on our investments on campus. This includes the emergency services expansion, the short-term skilled nursing, cardiology, and the walk-in clinic. We're doing a review of our strategic investments to make sure they're on time and on budget. Several aspects of the construction are underway. I just visited the skilled nursing facility construction site this week. So really happy with the progress we made with Cadence, our partners, construction partners there on the ground. That will provide an 80-bed skilled nursing facility right on campus. You might know that Alaska ranks least in the nation for skilled nursing facilities. So our board knows we need about another 80 beds to really reach our need. So we'll be planning for our next phase of skilled nursing hopefully soon. For the emergency services expansion phase 2, our board made the investment of $377 million. And this will increase our emergency services area, add a 2-bay ambulance entrance, and it'll add 60 patient rooms where some of our rooms are double occupancy right now. If you've been in the hospital, you have to sometimes share a room with a patient. That's unheard of in modern day standards. So we're going to get away from that. We'll have single occupancy rooms, and this will open in 2028. We're also going to open our new cardiology space here in November. It's a beautiful space that our board will be celebrating. Here come their November board meeting. Finally, I wanted to give an update on our electronic health record. The state of our electronic health record really tells the story of ANTHC's lack of investment in our infrastructure over the past decade. And when you don't invest in your infrastructure, especially your electronic health record, it causes a lot of problems. So we're trying to catch up. It's hard to do that because we've built our electronic health record so specifically for us, but we entered into a 1-year extension with Oracle Cerner, and this will give us more time to work with Cerner on solutions to our EHR. It'll also allow our THO partners and clinical staff to understand everyone's need and establish the next path forward. I was hoping the Rural Relief Fund that was coming out from the Big Beautiful Bill would give us the resources needed for our EHR, a new EHR, or updated Oracle. Unfortunately, they limited EHR in the Rural Relief Fund, but we're going to be thinking creatively about that. EHR is probably going to be one of the harder challenges we face in FY26 because there's no easy path forward. It's so critical to our patient care, and our staff at ANMC are asking for an improved tool. So we really need to deliver that. Again, thank you for the time to deliver this short message. It's always an honor to be on island. I came down for when KANA hosted the Alaska Native Health Board, and I'm not like a spiritual or overly religious person. I'm Episcopalian because that's who was our missionaries in the Yukon River in interior Alaska. But when I was here, I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I haven't really prayed to God to help me with my role. And it scared me. And I thought, and I woke up, the flight was canceled. So I was able to spend time with the KANA team and go on their tour. And they matched me up with South Central Foundation. And it turns out they're not bad ladies. They're really awesome. And after the tour, I was really humbled that KANA's team is just so caring. They have such great programs for your people. And I'm very familiar with the similar programs because of my time at TCC. But I was able to go up the road and there's this ocean right there. And I was able to pray and ask God to help me with this position. And I just want to thank you for allowing me on this island and that connection. I don't know why that I'm not spiritual, but your land helped me with that. So thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. And I want to share that in the brief time that Natasha's been in the role of president and CEO, or probably about 18 to 20 months now in the interim and full-time role, she's done a great job. She's brought together a really wonderful, capable team. They've achieved measurable results already. She mentioned acquiring more hospitals. For any of you who've been to, pardon me, I've got a little bit of emotion here too after listening to Natasha share about her connection to her land and to our land. But if you've gone to Anchorage in the last number of years, you know how hard it is to get a hotel room if you're seeking care. And it's been a problem for a long time. And Natasha's team in a short period of time have really proactively made efforts to address that. So I want to acknowledge that and thank her and her team for the hard work that they're doing. And welcome to Kodiak. Thanks for coming, and we appreciate you. On our agenda, we have prize drawings, the voting results, and then we'll offer some time for questions. But I also, we have one last presentation, and that's from our good friend, Ms. Joy Mariner. She's going to go over the FY 2024 annual audit presentation. So if you don't mind coming on up, Joy. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and good morning, or now good afternoon. My name's Joy Mariner, and I have the pleasure of working with your team here at KANA on the financial statement information and the annual audit. And I realize I stand between you and prizes and lunch, so I'm going to keep this as straightforward as I can. But we work really closely with your team on lots of different things. There has been a lot going on over the last 5 years. in the financials of KANA, of even the software that you use, the staff that have worked here. And I just want to say, this year working with Ollie on the financial statement audit, it went very well. You've come through a lot of significant grant funding changes over the last 5 years with COVID-19 and pandemic relief monies. It's been a big lift for your team. And so I'm just really happy to report this year's audit results and some financial statement highlights. And then if okay with Mike, I'll open it up for any specific questions. But I'm also just really thankful to be back with you in person here this year. I love Kodiak. My family loves Kodiak. And my husband's actually up at Pillar Lake right now at the Forest Service cabin. So we try to come often and just really enjoy your region and the people here. So let's move on. I don't have a clicker, but if you can move on to the report of independent auditors. So the next slide for me. So this year, this is the results for the 2024 financial statement. So audits are always done after the fact of the information that happened during the year. Your 2025 statements you've already finished 2025 just a few weeks ago. So we will be starting the 2025 audit here shortly and be here in Kodiak in December to test the financial records. We did issue an unmodified opinion. That's a clean opinion on the financial statements for 2024. That's what you as the members of KANA would want to see, is a clean opinion on the financial statements. And that means that we believe, in our opinion, that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects your financial position. Part of your audit, if you go to the next slide, we also conduct multiple audits. So you actually go through 4 audits during the course of our audit. The financial statement audit, we do something called a government auditing standards audit on your compliance with laws and regulations. And then we also look at your state of Alaska grant funding and your federal government grant funding. This year and this is for 24 again, 2.5 million in state funding, 24.36 million in federal funding. On the state side, we audited the VPSO program, which it's actually a combination of several grants. And on the federal side, we audited 3 different programs this year: Tribal Self-Governance, your Indian Health Service Compact, as well as your Indian Health Service Behavioral Health Program, and then BIA Consolidated Tribal Government Program. One thing I just want to mention on these 3 programs, it actually represents a large number of grants. There's a significant number of grants that fall under these 3 programs from a federal perspective. And so it was a pretty big lift from your team to pull together all that information for us to audit. I'm happy to note that we did issue a clean opinion on compliance and no question costs in 2025. This gets submitted to the White House. It was submitted to the White House. You met the deadline and everything there is ready to move into 2025. Let's cover a few financial statement highlights. I know not all of you live in a financial statement world, but it's my favorite place. So let's talk about a few highlights, and I'm going to try to kind of explain a few key numbers here. So your statement of financial position shows what assets you own. Liabilities are things you owe to others. So those are here in red. And what's left over is your net assets at a nonprofit. It's also considered equity. So that's here in orange. So you can see here just a lot of different changes. And I will say we give you 5 years of data, but this has consistently been going up. And 2023 was a bit of an anomaly. I would say there was a lot of federal funding coming out in 21, 22, and kind of culminating in 2023 between CARES and ARPA and some of the other grants, supplemental grants that came through from the federal government. But we can see an increase in assets overall and an increase overall the last 5 years of your net assets as well. We'll cover just briefly in a minute what you have in assets, but what's liabilities are largely related to your debt for this building and your grant advances. So money that the federal government gives you in advance for you to spend on your grants and drawdowns on those. Assets we'll talk about here next, if you could switch to the next slide. So most of your assets are held either in property and equipment or in your cash and investments. And the federal government does require you to keep a certain amount of cash investments for grant advances, but it's also your working capital. That's how you pay your bills and pay your employees on time, and you cover your costs. And it also allows you to have enough money to plan for strategic plans for the future. I love being here in person and hearing about the many things that KANA has planned for your communities and for your programs. So those are the main things. You also have receivables, investments in joint ventures, and some other long-term assets. One thing I'll cover next is around revenue. And I did mention there was a bit of a peak in your federal funding, especially through 2023. So your total grant revenue is a piece of that, but your total revenue overall is 55.4 million in 2024. And if you go to the next slide, you can see what that breakout is, largely related to compact and grants, but a significant amount related to patient service revenue. And I know that even 6 years ago, when we were talking pre-COVID, we were working with the board on patient service revenue growth, because the patient service revenue really also represents the amount of health services that you can provide to the members of KANA. And that was a really important priority of the board, and that has been growing. It's at 14.85 million in 2024. There were some fluctuations around COVID, but overall, the amount of health services being provided under that patient service revenue has increased. On the next slide, we can see your total expenditures. I will just note here, you can see that significant increase. So you received a lot of money or revenue in prior years that was spent in 2024. So you see a big increase in expenditures as you're spending down some of the COVID CARES money, ARPA money, and supplemental funding that you received. And I loved hearing about from the program folks, all the different things that were being done this last year at KANA, and the expansion of programs and the things you were able to do. And then just know for 2024, there is a bit of a peak there as it relates to spending down of those funds. So you go down to the next page, you can see the breakout of expenditures, largely based in health services, significant piece for community services, and then you can see general and administration as well. With that, I just want to congratulate your team. This year's audit was just done very well. We have a plan in place to issue the 2025 audit even sooner. And I've been working closely with the team on things like your conversion, talking even about, to hear about the electronic health records at ANTHC. We've been talking somewhat about that with your team in terms of just protecting personal information, cybersecurity, some of those things that you're making investments in and working to make sure are benefiting the members as best you can. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Joy. So the next item on our agenda is prize drawings. The moment you've been waiting for. And then after that, we will go over the election results and open the floor for questions. I realize we're a little bit ahead of the time that's on the agenda in front of you, but I think that's great that we've had the chance to provide information and answer some questions as we're going. I don't want to cut anything short, so thank you for your patience. Prize drawings? Okay. Maybe what we'll do is bounce ahead on the agenda while we prepare for the prize drawings, or are we ready? Almost? Okay. Any questions from the floor in the interim? Patricia?
Thank you. I was just wondering why Kodiak is not being represented in this meeting.
Kodiak's represented through the at-large chapter on the KANA board with 10 chapters. Kodiak's membership is included in at-large. Thank you. Are there any other questions? I see the green basket for prizes has entered the room. So we'll quickly go through this.
Is this where I stand? Can you see me, Mike?
Yes. Gotcha.
Sure. Okay, so the first drawing is for earrings by Moon and Stars, handmade coho salmon leather earrings, 24 karat gold. Kelson Dehart. Is Kelson going to claim his prize?
He's on his way.
Are you going to try them on? Okay, the second prize is Arctic Fur Mittens by Luis Leonard. Jessica Urson. The third prize is Fin Whale Baleen from Passaic, Hadley May McKee. Oh, I'm sorry, that's who it's from. Sorry. Gwen Sargent. Where did Gwen go? Is this a need to be present to win situation?
No, we'll go ahead and make sure that Gwen gets her prize.
All right. The next prize is The Dreamer, ivory by Alfred Nemoff Jr. I apologize if I said that wrong. Thank you. Carol Kotelnikoff. Three Seals by Alvin Amison. This painting here. Lisa Truitt. This might be a team lift situation. Do you want to leave it here, Lisa? The sixth prize is a $500 Visa gift card. Joseph Delgado. And the last prize is 50,000 airline miles, Alaska airline miles. Jen, do I put all of these names back in there, or is it, I wasn't sure if this was a grand prize situation. Disregard. Valerie Urson. That's everything. Oh, I'm sorry. These are winners.
So everyone that cast a vote or a ballot was put in a drawing for $100. And so that was drawn earlier today when you voted. And the winners are, for articles, Marie Green, $100. At large, Corey Grawn. Native Village of Uzinki, Alexandria Mueller. And Tenignac Native Village, Anna Line Olson. So some people aren't here because they voted by mail. But if you're here, come get your prize.
Thanks, everybody, and congratulations to those of you who won. And for those of you who didn't, please come back next year. We'll see what we can do for you. We are I think probably getting really close to having our election results fully tabulated. There were a lot of votes this year. So thanks to our election committee for the time that they're putting into making sure that everything gets completed. But while we're waiting for that, I'd again like to open the floor for any questions that people may have. Are there any questions?
Hello. My question is, now that our Republican Party has finally begun the ending of Medicaid and Medicare, how is this going to affect our 40% of people who live in Alaska that depend on that, plus the 88% of the people that use the subsidies for the ACA? How is that going to affect our population? And do we need to look around and see who is going to be here next year because of the lack of funding that is coming up? And how can we as people combat this to try to help our people that are historically underfunded and under cared for?
Thank you, Joe. That's a great question. I appreciate it. That's something we've been wrestling with for months, is how are legislative changes going to impact the services that we provide and the population that we serve? And Natasha touched upon this earlier. And Natasha, you want to join me up here? Because Natasha's team, she has a great team of policy analysts who she probably could answer this question better than I, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Such a timely question. Thankfully, at the Alaska Tribal Health System, we have the Alaska Native Health Board, which is a separate nonprofit entity that's strictly for our advocacy for our health funding. We are analyzing the impacts from the One Big Beautiful Bill. Luckily, our delegation was able to exempt Alaska Native patients from the work requirements in Medicaid. We're also looking at the cuts that were made to Medicaid programs outside of those work requirements. We're expecting about a 5% cut in overall revenue from Medicaid, but those figures we'll continually go over those figures to refine that number. It's not 5%, doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're just, breaking even, or when you have certain programs that make revenue, certain programs that don't, it's tough. With medevacs, Medicaid mostly pays for our medevac program, things like that. So we're closely watching it. In addition, we have a lot of room for improvement in our electronic health record, that we leave money on the table because of the lack of improvement of technology. So as we invest in our technology, we'll make up for some of that revenue cycle issues there. There is some relief in the $200 million a year that's going to come Alaska's way for the next 5 years with the Rural Relief Fund. The state of Alaska application is due, I think, any day, and we all had the chance to input with the state what that's going to look like. The state is really looking at how we can transform healthcare. They focus on rural. Childcare is a big component of what they're looking at to fund. And so the tribal health system is really unifying around how do we get that $200 million to our Native people. So I think you're right to call this out, and we are going to have to adjust our programs. And this is just the first year of our wonderful administration. So we have 3 more years of it. And I think the hope we have is our delegation understands the federal responsibility to tribes and Native people through our health programs. and they are committed to protecting us. I think even though Secretary Kennedy has some certain positions on public health that might not align with the tribal health system, he does have a commitment to tribes in America. And when he visited, he committed to protecting and in-house service funding and committed to growing that funding. So even though overall it's a lot to be concerned of, there is some hope, and we do have people in DC who want to protect our programs. So thank you.
Thanks, Natasha, and thank you, Joe, for the question.
I just have one more. Knowing this is happening here and knowing the state of KANA as it is now with the turmoil that's going on because of some of this, and some of the problems that we encounter as beneficiaries, especially when we're calling in with sometimes lack of people to answer the phones and that type of thing. I really hope that we can somehow find a way to raise some of those wages to garner more interest in that area. Because I think that the people that answer the phones are some of the most important people in the organization, as they are the ones that are always in contact with us. And we're not always happy, and we understand that sometimes it can make it harder for them. But if we can try to give them more incentive to stay in the position that they're in, especially the better ones, that will help us as beneficiaries out a lot, and hopefully calm some of their nerves, because I know that some of our people can be pretty abrasive.
Thank you for that question also, Joe. I really appreciate that. And we have had that very conversation just this week, because, you know, the folks who answer the phones, the folks who are at the front desk, many times those positions are viewed as entry positions into the organization. But you know what? That's the hardest job around. You have to know multiple electronic health records. You have to have people skills. You have to have patience. And we hear you. You know, as far as having people are able to answer the phones, that's a real challenge with recruitment. We did make a change to our phone system. We tried to institute a call tree that's still a work in progress, trying to get people to the spot they want to be. And while I know not everybody, when they make a phone call, they want to have to make a selection to get to a department, what we found is it actually has helped get calls to where ultimately they need to be. It's not 100%. It's probably not even 70%, but it's better. But I appreciate those two observations, and we have been thinking about those 2 points that you brought up about phones and about recognizing the importance of the people who are our front line. Thank you.
Mention was about real ID. I'm wondering, how about tribal ID? That is a TSA acceptable ID.
I'm sorry, I don't think the microphone was on.
There was mention about real ID. It's still not working. So tribal ID is an acceptable TSA ID. And I was wondering, is there any push for getting more tribal ID rather than real ID?
Thank you. The question relates to tribal IDs, which are also acceptable under TSA regulations, regarding the comments earlier about real ID. And I do know that many of our tribes are very proactive in issuing tribal ID cards. And if any of you are local tribal members and don't have a tribal ID, I encourage you to reach out to your tribal administrator, because that's a great point. And I am aware that that our local tribes are really working hard to get those tribal IDs out. Are there any other questions? I see a person approaching with election results. You want to give a copy to Phyllis? Oh. The proposed articles amendment has passed. It's been approved. Thanks to all of you who voted. The at-large chapter, Cheryl Christofferson, has been elected. For the Native Village of Yuzinki chapter, Larry Chichinoff has been elected. And for Tenignac Native Village, Chrislyn Hohen has been elected. Thanks again to all of you who voted. Thanks to all of you who are willing to serve and represent your community. Back to asking if there are any questions. I don't see any questions. I did get a question handed to me about KANA's indirect and admin costs in relation to direct services to individuals. How does KANA examine indirect rate and admin costs in relation to direct services? How does investing in studies and property acquisitions benefit Alaska Natives and American Indians? If we could we pull up the slide from Ms. Mariner's presentation that showed community service, admin, and health costs? There's a nice pie chart that shows our administrative costs in relation to direct costs. And I'm going to say it was approximately about 30%. Without having the numbers in front of me for administrative costs. Additionally, there's a program, so you see in red, that's the ratio of administrative support costs and the direct services that are provided by health and community services. So you see the red, $9 million for administrative services. Oh, that's community services. Okay, sorry. General and admin is 17, community services is 8, and health is 32. So another program that we've utilized starting last year is a 105L lease program in which the federal government will pay for the operations and maintenance costs for administering our programs. And so that 105L leasing program will reduce operations and maintenance expense like janitorial, electric expense. Those programs, or those services, the dollars used to pay for operation support will then be able to go back into our direct program. So regarding the question about, what are we doing to look into getting more dollars into our programs, we're looking at programs like that to leverage. There's one other question. Can you tell me the staff employee ratio of Alaska Native American Indian employees to non-Alaska Native American Indian employees? And we were just talking about this yesterday. I think our beneficiary hire rate is in the low 20s. Are there any other questions? I don't see any. Oh, yeah, please. Okay.
And she had to go over to the elder house. And I'm just curious, will KANA ever do anything for the elders here, like people that need an elder house? It seems like KANA takes care of everything up until you are old and need a place that to stay. And it seems like there is nothing available here. You get sent off the island. So I was just curious if KANA ever thought about that, of having an elder house that was taken care of. I know of a couple here a gal whose husband went up to the elder house and she lost everything she has because she had to pay for the elder house until she ran out of money. And I just don't think that's something that should be happening. So that's my question. Would you ever consider having a Native elder house type thing?
Yes. Thank you for the question. It has been discussed. And as was mentioned earlier, I was approached by a member earlier today and said, take the time to appreciate the elders and to recognize what they bring to us and what support we need to be providing. The KANA board prioritized elder support a few years ago, and one of our directors said, you know, we've been talking about this for a long time. What are you going to do about it? And so we hired an elder services director 2 years ago. We've since added one additional elder support staff, and we have those folks looking at just what you're talking about, trying to find out how we can better support our Alaska Natives locally and not rely on other agencies that aren't meeting the demands and aren't meeting the expectations. So thank you. And the board has discussed elder support and elder homes. I see a question.
Thank you. We had a lunch and learn at the senior center for all of the month of September. There were quite a few lunch and learns, and a woman from a caseworker from Providence came to speak to us, and she had power of attorneys and the directives for the hospital. And then another person came to speak with us, and we learned that elder care is $50,000 a month at Providence Kodiak Island Hospital. It was like 32 or $36,000 a month, but it's gone up. And there's the Miller's Trust, and you put your everything into that, and that kind of takes away your possessions. So that was also another issue, the Miller's Trust. But it seems like it's all covered in Medicaid. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Last call for questions. Chrislyn?
So not really a question, but a comment. So we missed one Caniversary. Yesterday, Mike celebrated 19 years with us at KANA. I just want to acknowledge his service to us.
Thanks. Thank you, Chrislyn. Thanks for pointing that out. I started when I was 12. Well, I've really enjoyed working for the organization. It provides the opportunity to work with great people and support of great people and to make connections. And so I want to thank all of you for providing, and Tina, for what you did 59 years ago to get KANA kickstarted, and for everything that you do every day. Really appreciate it. Staff, members, guests. I'm going to conclude the meeting. We're going to go ahead and I better look at the agenda, make sure I'm doing this right. I'm going to call the meeting adjourned. We don't need a motion. We'll adjourn the meeting. And regarding lunch, I have some very specific directions given to me. So if you don't like these directions, don't shoot the messenger. I'd like to invite elders first. I do agree with that part. Exit the door to the right of the screen. That looks like the left of the screen, depending upon which screen you're looking at. my right or left, that door, please. Then everyone else starting from the right side of the room to the left side. Again, I'm going to have to ask which right side. That side of the room. The tables are numbered, so we'll start with 1 to 7, then 8 to 14, 15 to 20. And loop around the voting reception desk. Please, folks, don't be shy. Thanks again for coming, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year. Thanks.